T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to episode 424. But more importantly, welcome to All in the Tree Tuesdays. It's that time of the week again, and we are all in the trees once again. I'm your boy MJ. What is up, everyone? If this is your first time hanging out with us, what is good? Do your boy a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, select all, and you'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this channel. You can also listen to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast on all the major audio platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, wherever you listen. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you for all the love and support. Shout out to all the early birds. I see you guys. I'll get to you guys in a second. I do want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by Gary Shavino from GS Reptiles. Please head over to YouTube, subscribe to this man's content because it is something awesome to see and watch, and just more importantly, learn about different species that you could keep and even breed maybe someday in the reptile game. But shout out to Gary for making things so awesome. Go follow him on Instagram as well, GS Reptiles. Again, that's Gary Shavino. He's a man. Appreciate you so much, Gary. Big dog status for sure. Appreciate you, dog. Listen, also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats. The future of enclosures has been arrived. Flex in Texas all day, every day. Appreciate you, Steven and Ashley, so much. What you see behind me, all Focus Cube Habitats. The wall of focus, all because of those two putting in the work. Appreciate you guys. Go give them a follow on Instagram, Focus Cube Habitats, and also go to the website, put in an order. And yeah, they're killing it. Best in the game, in my opinion. Appreciate them so much, and go mess with them. Tell them MJ sent you. Also want to say tonight's episode is brought to you by Ship Your Reptiles. Use what the pros use, and that's Ship Your Reptiles. #1 in the reptile industry. Next time you Ship Your Reptiles, make sure you shave $15 off that order. Use promo code TRAPTALK. Save yourself a little bit of coin. And that's from your boy MJ. So either way, thank you so much, Chad Brown and Susie from Ship Your Reptiles. Big things popping. Don't forget to support US Art. Super important, super crucial. You're looking at a US Art Gold member. Trappers represent US Art. Please support. Go down to the link in the description below. Click on it if you don't know what US Art means, or even if you've been considering becoming a member. Become a member today. We need those numbers. Super important. Shout out to you if you support US Art. Shout out to Phil Goss. Shout out to anyone out there who supports US Art. And yeah, super important, guys, man. Appreciate everyone. If you're looking for exclusive content, if you like to get more out of what you see here on a weekly basis, because I drop 3 episodes on this channel every single week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. But if you want to get more, if you want to get behind the scenes, go down to the very first link you see in the description below. Click on it. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Did you join the Trap Talk Patreon family? You get a link to the Discord. You get tapped in with over 185 trappers, connected to the IG group chat, nonstop networking, nonstop popping, nonstop fun and learning. Shout out to the trappers. Shout out to my trap family, man. You guys are my heart. And big things pop in 2024 exclusive-wise for the trap family. Best believe it. So mad perks. Best believe that. All right. All for you, Patreon members. I love you guys, man. Early birds. What is good? Who's here tonight? Ready to rock and roll? I see the early birds is cracking. But first and foremost, introduce you to my friend yet again, Marshall Mendez, Red Mountain Herd.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
What's up? How's it going?
Sick shirt. What shirt is that? That's a fish shirt, isn't it? Is that a fish shirt?
Yeah, man, it might be. Sorry, hang on. There we go.
Because of that song.
Yes.
That's
it
why
is.
that's why I know the what's the song? What's the I'm sorry.
Run Like an Antelope.
Yes. That's a song that really pissed a lot of people off when I had
It is.
Oh man.
Because he couldn't hear anything.
I did run it a little bit too loud. But either way, I feel like some people thought I did that on purpose, but now I'm actually happy it went the way it did because yeah, that was epic, man. But glad to have you back for another week, man.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Everything going good for you, bro?
Everything's great. Had a female ovulate this week, and another one's looking promising. Just fed a bunch of ball pythons tonight. Some rodent work. Woohoo! And you know, just doing it.
How many years you been doing this now, Marshall? Just let the record reflect.
Jeez, I don't know, man. Since first grade. So I don't know. It's a lot of years. I'm 51 or about to be 51. So
but it's not old to you, is it? It's still not old to you.
No, it never gets old.
That's what I'm saying.
Never gets old.
Yeah. Such an awesome thing. Now, since you mentioned your ovulation, how many pairings are going on this year for you? Like other than that ovulation, what are we looking at?
Well, I just started cycling things probably about, I don't know, a month ago. I kind of put 2 pairs together before it got cold enough to drop temperatures around here. And they started locking up right away. One of them, the other pair, the Versace head-to-head pair, they've locked up. I don't know. I just quit recording it. It's been so many times, 15 times probably. She's not ovulated yet. She's off food. She's looking like she's going to go. Wow. And the other female, the one that did ovulate yesterday, was a calico tiger stripe, bred to a sibling calico tiger stripe. And that pair only locked once that I saw. And she pretty much immediately went food. And it's been, I think they locked on October the 15th or something like that. So about 2 months ago, give or take. And then the male pretty much just lost interest after that. So I've got another 4 females or so that should be ready. I've kind of been rotating one of 2 males or 2 males around with them. And so far, males haven't shown any interest yet. So I've got them separated right now. I'm going to give them probably like a month of cooler temps and then try reintroducing them again.
Cool. I mean, there's a lot of things that you mentioned that we're going to bring up tonight. Obviously giving the males a break at a certain point. And just obviously another thing too about the whole having one lock and what are the odds of that clutch being, because you have like your what ifs because it's just one lock, right? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that tonight. I appreciate it. But tonight's co-star, co-host, or I'm sorry, co-star. I don't know how to fuck. Either way, Alex Warren. God damn it, Alex Warren, right?
Yeah. What's up, Alex?
Yeah. What's going on, guys?
My buddy.
How you doing tonight?
Good. Just chilling.
A&W coming in the clutch. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Just glad to be here. Honestly, glad to take the mayor's spot.
Yeah, who knows about that guy? He's kind of unpredictable. We gotta see what happens with the mayor. But how you been? How's your collection been? What's good with you, bro?
I've been good. Just cruising along. Got a couple sarong pairings going this year. So pretty sure one of the females has reabsorbed already. So there's that. Yeah. And the other one still going. So she's looking a little thicker, and I haven't fed her in probably like 3 weeks or so. So it's looking promising.
I mean, we're in the early stages of all this shit right now too, as far as what's happening. Which again, we'll talk about that tonight. But Marshall has no idea who Chuck is, right? Marshall, do you know anything about tonight's guest?
Yeah, I checked out his Instagram and stuff, but I don't think we've ever met in person.
Okay, Alex, what do you have to say about the homie Chuck? Like maybe kind of fill Marshall in as far as what we have to look forward to tonight.
Well, he likes to drink a lot. I know that.
Hey, all right. I like him already.
No, Chuck's a good dude. I've talked to Chuck a lot. We've talked on the phone for hours on end here and there, and talk all the time on Instagram and stuff. He's a good dude. He just loves chondros and loves his family, and just an all-around good dude.
Yeah, I will say, and to top that, I remember seeing Chuck arise during, I would want to say maybe right before COVID, and he could correct me when we drop him in, but I remember seeing him and I'm like, oh wow, this guy's really all about chondros. You know, a new guy all about a new guy all about chondros is kind of like, man, I don't know the odds about this guy hanging in there for this long. And sure enough, like, man, he really has hung in there and has really come to the forefront as far as getting productions under his belt. And I give him props, man. I like seeing people having to go through what a lot of people have to go through when it comes to getting any success in the chondro game. So we have a lot to talk about with the homie Chuck. You know what I'm saying? And he has a little bit of podcast experience under his belt. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm ready to rock and roll. Are you guys ready to bring Chuck in or what?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
all right,
let's go.
Listen, guys, if you're in the live chats tonight, don't be shy with the super chats, especially if you have a question or if you have an important topic or if you just want to show any love. If you want to contribute to Marshall's Miller Lite collection, let me know, okay? We can make that happen. But seriously, guys, do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Episode 424, all up in the tree with the homie Chuck of Chill Chondros coming at you right now. Let's go. Choo! You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes,
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the drop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we're live, episode 424. The homie Chuck, Chill Chondros. What's up, Chuck?
What's going on?
Damn.
What's up, Chuck?
What's going on, Marshall?
Damn.
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
I like the background, like the scene.
Yeah, got it going on in there.
I know.
Yeah.
I had to follow up. You guys got some pretty good collections, so I had to make my 3 imports down here look nice.
Chuck, when'd you pop around as far as like that logo and stuff like that? I mean, it's been a handful of years, I want to say already, right? Or how long has it been?
Yeah. It was right before. I think it was right before COVID. It was.
Right, I knew it.
Yeah, I think it was early 2020. I got my first pair.
Right, and it was just chondros, right? Nothing else. That was your jam from the beginning.
Yeah, I had a carpet python that I was going to make some of Gary's favorite snakes, and then I decided to send that one away to a friend.
Wait, was that a joke or are you for reals? Were you trying to make carpondros?
Yeah, it was a striped coastal, and I was going to try to do striped carpondros to see if it would work, but I had to go.
Wow. That would have been really bad for you.
Why did you nix that project?
Why not? I mean, who's going to stop it?
I ended up getting a clutch out of the green trees, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna ruin my reputation. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead.
So you just jump straight into chondros? Those are your first snakes ever?
No, I went on like a hiatus for quite a few years, maybe like 8 years or something like that. But I had a lot of different things leading up to this. I had one green tree way back in the day, but you know how that goes with your first green tree. It doesn't end very well. Keeping an Exoterra with heat lamp like 10 years ago.
I mean, if it's a BIAC, it can handle it. But other than that, yeah, if you put any other snake in that condition, it's more likely not going to live. But man, what was it though? Like, what was the influence behind a chondro? Was it social media accounts or you going to a show? But what was it that really made you say, fuck, this is it, you know?
I was actually working in there's a place called the Liberty Science Center. Ian Basil actually goes there, and I think he's friends with one of the curators or something like that, but they have this cool, I guess it's like a polyacrylic cube, and it's big. It's like 48-inch square, but it's divided diagonally down the center, and on one side they have a green tree, and then the other side they have an emerald. And I saw
it's big see-through. It's like an acrylic, like you said. It's big, all clear and shit like that.
Correct. Yep.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, and I saw the green tree. I was like, I wanted a saltwater tank, and my wife, she just didn't want me to get a saltwater tank. I mean, I never really.
That's way cool. I'm sorry. I know saltwater tanks could be awesome, but that's way cooler than a saltwater tank, in my opinion. because, bro, saltwater tanks could crash very easily. Like, there's not much room for air when it comes to that. And I know, as cool as I know a saltwater tank could be, I'm not getting one unless I have the money to hire someone to come fucking do all that maintenance and do the whatever, the drops and all that shit. I wouldn't do good with stuff like that at all. Like, period. And I heard that's an expensive game. I don't know. Have you ever done fish at all, Marshall?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch.
Like
yeah.
Really? What are we talking? Freshwater? Or are we talking
both? Yeah, I've done both. Freshwater planted.
No way.
Marine, all fish, and reef.
Dang,
it's been a while, but if I was gonna do another one, I'd do freshwater. I like the freshwater planted tanks the best.
Yeah.
The reef tanks are nice, but like you're saying, it's pretty. Man, the equipment's come a long way in the last 10, 15 years with LED lights, and you're not having to use chillers anymore, and you've got it. It's like everything else, it's expensive probably to get all the shit that you need, but once you get it dialed in, I think they're pretty sturdy unless you have some kind of equipment malfunction. But I mean, that could happen with anything.
I think someday I would love to do that freshwater planted stuff for sure. Alex, I have to ask you, have you ever dabbled in the fish game at all, Alex?
Very small amount. I used to have a reef tank. And then I lost it whenever that big freeze hit Texas and we lost power.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. But, kind of like Chuck and you were saying, it's a lot of work. I remember putting more effort into that reef tank than I did my entire reptile collection.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you getting into the start of things with the green tree pythons, did you just start with one neonate or how did you kind of enter yourself into this? Like, did you kind of go all in or?
Yeah, it was, I bought a pair of Biosecurity off of Harlan. And then I just started acquiring imports where I got two captive bred animals. I got one from Garrick the Meyer.
Damn, respect.
And that's the sire to the clutch I had last year, hatch out. And then the female I got from a buddy of mine, Justin Velez from Vivid Scales. And he was actually local, so he drove her down to me and stuff. And we had a neat little deal we worked out. And I ended up giving him a Neo from her because I got her.
Where do you live, Chuck? Where are you from?
New Jersey.
Okay.
Unfortunate.
So, I mean, did you kind of do things like a lot of others did and start stuff in tubs and try to work your way into getting into the enclosures what you have behind you, or did you kind of go right into it and get those type of enclosures right off the bat?
Now everything was living in hefty totes. The high-rise ones, they had the real high lids, and they kind of hid the profile of the Reptile basic heat panels. I put heat panels in all the tubs and just used PVC perches and knockoff command hooks until I had a clutch, and then I just kind of upgraded. I put everything that I got from the baby's proceeds. I put everything right back into the collection.
Nice, yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, your first time pairing was 2 years ago, or when did you first pair your chondros up?
That's actually funny. I have a post on my page pretty far down of a conversation I had with Marshall, and I love how pessimistic he is because he's pretty realistic. And I'm like, hey, I think my female's real fat. Think she's gravid? He's like, is she still eating? I said, yes. He said, no, she's not. And before you actually do it, you're like, every little tiny thing that looks positive, you try to make it into what you want to see. Yeah. Yeah, and then when you actually do it, like now looking at like my snakes, I'm like, there's no way. She went off food, but she's gonna eat again. There's no way she's gonna ovulate for me. Like everything's now negative because you know all the bad shit that could actually happen.
Yeah.
Right. That comes from learning it the hard way.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go back to your first clutch. So how did that go down and whatnot?
It was hectic. I pretty much experienced almost every story that everyone has with this one clutch. I accidentally dehydrated my female. Ended up soaking her. She laid really late. I think it was like, I forget how many days, but it was definitely really late. I was nervous about it. She laid. It was a successful lay. One slug. So I got to see what a slug looked like. It was 13 fertile. And then as soon as I put them in the egg boxes that I thought were going to work, they immediately started just turning into raisins in like 3 days. And I ended up making a new egg box out of a Cambro tub and used that. And they started plumping back up and coming back to life. One of them ended up getting mold on it. And I tried Elmer's glue and Lotrimin foot powder, but I didn't let the glue dry.
I've never had that shit work. I mean, I just because I feel like I thought, but then it would just end up just getting all wet again. And I'm like, and it like, I feel like it prolongs it. I feel like it keeps it from like spreading so quick. But for me, it's always been.
I don't know that I've ever tried it on chondro eggs. I've done it on ball python eggs a bunch. The Elmer's glue.
I've only had to try it with chondro eggs, and I've never like once that shit was getting wet, it was game over. You know what I mean?
So were you doing no substrate method on your incubation?
Yeah, I was. I suspended them over heavily saturated perlite. But my first mistake was I used well water. I didn't even use distilled water. I don't know what I was thinking. So it was like you got all that organic material in there with water out of my well, and I just I had some mold problems, and I tried, like I said, I dressed one with Elmer's glue and Lotrimin, didn't let it dry. I killed that egg, and then from there on out, I had the idea to use a blush brush for women, and would put the egg covered in the mold inside of the deli cup. It was just lined with the foot powder, and I just dusted the egg real lightly. Like I didn't want to dump it on there and really starve the egg of the moisture that I could drink up. So I just put a little fine film over it, and I would like tend to like 1 or 2 eggs every week, and it kind of worked out.
So did it string them along until the end? Got them through? Yeah,
and I let one go that would just not like reinflate, and I just directly added it to perlite, and that one like plumped up and was the most plump egg out of all of them. And I have pictures on my Instagram. It got so bad with windows, like you could see the snake moving through the window, and it was like every like green mold, orange, and the snake hatched out. I still have it. It's perfectly fine.
Wow. Who was it we were talking about last week that still does eggs on substrate, on vermiculite? Hey, I can't remember. So somebody we were talking about last week, maybe the week before. I did my first couple of clutches on sitting directly on vermiculite. I do them like you just
Ryan
mentioned
does.
now.
Ryan, I don't know if you were talking about Ryan, but I know Ryan Young puts his stuff directly into this.
He puts chondros too, puts them directly in the substrate.
Directly. Yep. Somebody else. I mean,
John
I know.
Irby, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it was John Irby. Yeah, it was John Irby.
Oh, okay.
Eric Chung, I also believe does it.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't have the balls to do that.
It seems really sketchy to put chondro eggs directly on substrate.
Just got to have it mixed dry enough.
Yeah, I didn't know this. I was talking to Michael Majoras from Coloring Outside the Lines, and we had discussed that, and he had told me, and I looked it up. It looked pretty legit that vermiculite actually has like natural mold, anti-mold properties to it or something. It fights mold, if I'm not mistaken.
And perlite doesn't do that? Only vermiculite does that?
I don't know about perlite. I never looked it up, but specifically vermiculite was what was mentioned.
For some reason, it's hard for me to get vermiculite in my area. I could get perlite really easily, but vermiculite,
get it on Amazon.
It doesn't ship here for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's so
probably causes cancer or some California bullshit.
It's
California.
I can't get flood lamp bulbs. Like, so the only bulbs I could get shipped to me are LEDs because of our fires. So they don't. We can't have regular old school fucking flood lamp bulbs like the rest of Americans could have. And then also there's like chlorhexidine. I can't order a big jug chlorhexidine. I can't do that. I don't know. So just a few shit on Amazon I just can't send to my house. It's so weird. But anyways, so going back to your clutch, as far as you going through it all, we've only heard a couple things as far as the outcome. So let's kind of keep going on what the rest of the clutch was like, as far as what made it and what went the distance, what ate for you, what didn't eat for you, all that stuff.
Yeah, so out of the 12 that were good, they still weren't doing shit on day 54. So Socrates, I love talking to Sock, and Sock told me, he's like, just cut one and poke it. So I cut one open and I poked it and it flinched. So I put it back in there, and the next day it popped its head out. So Sock said, cut them all. So I cut all of them. And there's a couple hanging out. A couple came out right away and perched. One of them completely detached from the yolk sac and didn't like soak it up and died like that day. One was doing that jerky motion where like a quarter of its body was out, and I didn't know why, and I know what to look for now. It was its umbilical cord tied
up.
Yeah.
That one died.
Now, are these? You think this is from cutting too soon? Do you think those eggs just weren't ready, or what do you think?
No, because the majority of the clutch was crawling around with the umbilicals with, the yolk sacs were just little tiny pea shape, like pea size, and they fell off the next day. So
yeah,
I think it was a lot of me moving the clutch around and taking it out, and maybe I like prolonged the development of them by taking them out so much, but I thought I was prepared and I just wasn't. So I had to deaden an egg as well. And then they all came out, 8 of them perched up. I dealt with a prolapse on one, but that snake's fine now.
Oh, wow.
I dealt with the first shed ever stuck on its face. So I had to take that off manually from the nostril all the way back on one.
Yeah.
God.
It's hard on old fucking little tiny Neo. I mean, they're just so squirmy, and you feel like they're so fragile, and like they're just like you could just kill it with too much of a pinch or something. I don't know. I hate touching them when they're that tiny. I really do.
Yeah, I had one that took, and then as far as feeding's concerned, I had one that took right away. First shot. I have one that still makes me tease it.
How soon did you offer after the first shed? What was your go-to on that?
Like as soon as they shed out, I offered.
Yeah.
I separated some immediately and put them in the rack and see how they would do. I kept others completely together, communal until their sheds, until they had shed. And then through feeding trials, I went through pinky heads, rat's tails, ASF pinks, assist feeds, not really any force feeds. And I found that like the alternative prey items, like when I had the prolapse, obviously you talked about it numerous times on the channel, is there's just a blob of goo. There's no nutritional value to them. So when it prolapsed,
shit out their guts.
Yeah, I took it off the perch and left it on dry paper towel for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I only fed it medium rat's tails injected with a multivitamin until I bumped it up to fuzzies, and it never prolapsed.
A medium? That's a fucking big tail, bro.
Yeah, same girth as the snake, just an appropriate size to what the pinky was.
Oh, maybe my mediums are bigger. I don't know. I just seems like a big tail for a neonate.
Well, I didn't as they got bigger, I would go closer and closer to the base.
Oh, got you. Okay.
I just took the whole tail, and whatever was about the same girth of the animal, that's like the section I used.
Marshall, what do you know about tails like not really even being enough for a neonate either? Like I heard, like if you have a neonate that just won't eat and you're just feeding it tails, I heard that could only go so good for so long. Is that true?
Honestly, I've never done it. I've never used tails. I know some people swear by it. It seems like it makes sense that it goes down easy. So there's got to be less stress on the snake, but I'm of the opinion that if you're going to stress them out enough to, restrain them, grab them, shove something in their mouth, it might as well be something that's going to have some, some nutritional value. So I don't even like using pink heads, honestly. I just use the smallest pink I could find. And sometimes I'll like kind of get it. I'll try at first to get it just back past the throat, and then pinch the mouth on it and kind of pull back so that their teeth sink into it.
Right.
And some of them will, they'll try to spit it out for a minute, and then they'll start, something just switches in their head, and then they go into swallow mode. And then other ones, man, you've got to like shove it all the way in, and then just kind of like gently pinch and work it down all the way. Because if you stop, they just spit it right back up. Those are always the worst ones. Yeah.
And I wonder if that technique Greg Maxwell dropped on us as far as hanging it over something where they can't feel the bottom. Because imagine if it's hooked in there in the teeth like it is, and it's still perched, it's gonna not really knock into anything to kind of knock it out. And it's that's also where the technique can come in handy also,
because if you'll note, because when you put them on the ground, they're like push the side of the cage or push against the water bowl or just get whatever kind of leverage they can to try to pull it out of their mouth. But if they're hanging there and there's nothing, then
Did you notice? Do you notice that some of the some of the neos that don't want to feed or don't take meals, have you noticed that when they can't really manipulate the really floppy, like the pink, because they're so floppy, have you noticed that being like a nervous thing for them, like because they can't figure out how to position it right to get that upside down and like feed it to themselves? I don't
know that I've ever noticed that. It seems like the ones that eat will, sometimes they might eat it sideways or backwards or whatever, but they usually figure out a way to get it down. It might take them, a little bit longer, but no, I've never really seen that where they can't find which end to go for.
It's been a while since I've had that frustrating feeling, and I'm looking forward to it again someday. But man, nothing's worse than that fucking thing wrapping after many minutes of waiting, and then you come back the next morning and there it is. That pink never got eaten, and you fucking want to pull your hair out, man. But we're talking about techniques, assist feeding, what to offer. We have someone that we all know very, very well who has broken the barriers as far as what to offer a neonate. We know him well as the mayor of Chondrotown. It's Bill Stiegel, ladies and gentlemen, who's crashing tonight's show out of left field. What's up, COVID Bill?
I'm not sure who I'm crashing more, Chuck or Alex. Crashing more.
What's up, buddy? How you doing this evening?
Feel all right.
Yeah?
Just feel all right. Just a little bit down. Not too bad. Just a little disappointed I had to cancel my Christmas dinner with my bros, but it's all good. I thought I'd just check in for a few minutes and see how you guys were doing, and say hi to Chuck. I was disappointed I was not going to be able to make this episode because I had it on my calendar as one to participate in, because I always like talking with Chuck.
Yeah, and Bill was like, Bill told me, hey, MJ, I can't make next Tuesday. I have my Christmas party. I'm like, all right, that's fine, but you're the one telling Chuck. I'm not going to tell Chuck. And he was like, shit, I forgot. I'm like, yeah, man, Chuck wants you there, buddy. But here he is. He's here, and I'm glad your spirit's up enough to be on the show tonight, Bill. It's always awesome. But we're talking about feeding neonates to the point where we have to assist feed and whatnot. And this year wasn't so much of a crazy year of assist feeding, you would say, right? I mean, you had to do maybe some, but not a lot, right?
Yeah, I did a handful. I would say really overall, all in all, probably just a kind of an average year. I wouldn't even guess how many babies I assist fed this year, but it seemed pretty average. And some of those, you assist feed 1 or 2 times and they're done. And others, you really put the full court press and you're feeding them more than 3, 4, 5 times. That's about my limit, really. After about the 5th time, if they're not catching on, if I'm not even getting them to make any progress at all, then I'm just usually finished with them.
Right.
But yeah, it was a pretty average year, wouldn't you say, Alex? Pretty average.
Yeah. Usually once Bill's finished with them, they come to my house for a little bit.
I let them die a slow death at Alex.
Yeah. I try to get them going, but generally if Bill can't do it, I probably can't do it. But there is the rare time that I can get 1 or 2 to feed.
Absolutely.
Hey,
We've saved a couple by doing that.
Yeah, we have for sure.
Yeah. But this all goes down to maybe those weren't meant to make it to begin with, you know? Like that's why at the end of the day we can't really just like spend our days wondering why these things didn't make it. Just some aren't meant to make it, and you just got to wash it up for what it is, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of these chondros are pre-programmed to die. That's why they have so many of them in the wild. Yeah.
I think you're right, Alex. I think you're right.
It's their favorite thing to do is die and kick you in the nuts.
Yeah, it's their favorite thing, man. They love it.
No,
that animal that can kick you in the nuts and don't have any legs.
Now we're talking prolapses. You know how a lot of the cases it's a neonate that doesn't have almost anything in it trying to shit, and we're wondering like what you would think, Bill, would be the choice assist feed meal you like to do if you were to go that route. Like if you know you have a neonate that you're trying to save and get going, what's your go-to as far as assist feeding it with what type of meal?
Probably like a lot of other people that have been doing this for a while. I've tried everything, right? Yeah. After trying scenting with every known scent on the planet, and then you give up and you decide you're going to assist feed. I think I first started with pink heads, and I hated pink heads. I mean, they would turn to mush.
That's nasty.
Most of the time before I could even get them halfway down, and it seemed to be really stressful on me and on the baby. And then Matt Morris got me to try mouse tails. Which I thought worked great. They went down very easily. You could get it halfway down, and the baby you could see it swallowing. And I think a lot of it is that learning how to swallow. If you get one that'll like take a pink, but will spit it out, or take a very a pink head and spit it out. I think they just, for whatever reason, they don't know how to swallow. And so getting a tail halfway down can encourage them to swallow and teach them how to swallow. The problem with that is the nutritional value is I think just poor.
Right.
And then
so for you, it's something that you use in hope that it boosts it to want to eat. Like it's not like a long-term like diet that you're trying to do for this thing. It's like well,
I think it's a combination. I think it's trying to give it some reserve until it will kick in. I think it's teaching it to eat. I think it's a little bit of both. Because I think eventually they will eat. They just don't want to eat the fucking mouse.
Yeah.
But obviously as they get older in the wild, they do start eating rodents. So I think it's one of those things where you teach them and you try to sustain them long enough where maybe something will kick in, and a lot of times it does. And then you were alluding to what I really started with this year was the chicken gizzard. And to me, it was something that I know it's more nutritious than a mouse tail, and I could formulate it in something that was very consistent like a mouse tail, very easy to go down, get it halfway down, and it would finish swallowing it. And so,
or were you just cutting it into little pieces, or what?
Almost like a hot dog. No, I seen it. It's like a little strip. Like a little strip.
Just like a strip where you would imagine a mouse tail, a section of a mouse tail to be.
Yeah.
And, and just putting about halfway down, letting them swallow the rest of it, and Did you send me a video of one taking it off forceps? Like it actually took it like on. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, after I would get them to eat that, some of them would, once they figured it out, then they're going to eat anything like the rest of them. Others would prefer to have that chicken gizzard. A few meals, I'd feed it all, just like you would a mouse pink. They'd strike it, wrap it, and eat it, and then all of those eventually ate a mouse pink. But I got to where I was intentionally feeding even the ones that would eat a mouse pink. I would alternate between pinks and strips of chicken gizzard, because I thought the nutritional value was better. So I did that, tried it. I thought it worked great. I might continue to do it. Once they're starting eating pinks with a little bit of hair on them and sustenance, then I stop with the gizzards.
Right.
And you also put chick down on those gizzards as well.
You bet, yeah.
Just a little side note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Riley Jemison in the building. I definitely could say that chondro people do rock with this method because I think that's where I heard it. But in carpet, sometimes shipping a snake across the country to someone else triggers the animal to start feeding. I think Marshall's done that before.
I've done it.
Bill's definitely offered for me to do that for him. Chuck, I don't know if you've done that, sent the snake off to someone for him to begin to eat, but even taking the snake from Bill's to Alex could do a change. Like you definitely, that's definitely some sort of truth with that, you guys would say, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've never done it with chondros, but I've done it with basins.
Right.
I've heard of people putting them in a box and just driving around for a couple hours and bringing them back.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And MJ, to touch on what Bill actually said too is the rat's tails to that prolapsed animal. It bit and wrapped and actually took them off forceps as an alternative prey item.
Oh wow! So it was taking rat tails off forceps.
Yeah, I have a couple videos on my Instagram of it doing it. And I was just taking it. It's called polybisol. It's an infant multivitamin made by Enfamil. And I would dilute that with a little bit of calcium and put it in a hypodermic needle and inject the meaty part of the medium rat's tail. And then the ones that wouldn't actually wrap it and take it, when they would just strike and drop, because of the angle, like the skin rings on the tail and the angle of the hairs, it was like Velcro stuck in their mouth and they almost couldn't spit it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the thing about a mouse tail is you want to get it as close to the hide as possible so you get those hairs.
Yeah.
And you would intuitively think you put the end of the mouse tail in its mouth, but you actually put the other end. You put the mouse tail that has those little bristles in it. You put the thick end in its mouth, and that because exactly what Chuck said, it gets stuck in their throat and they can't spit it out.
So can we really kind of not? Because there's a lot of people who say, "Man, a poor eater just isn't going to do good in the long run," right? You got some people who just rather not even keep a poor eater in their collection. But is that just because we're not giving it the right meal? And it's maybe not a poor eater. It's probably a good fucking snake if it's just being fed the right meal. Like, could that be a thing that we're kind of
probably
missing?
I would think that's probably the case with most babies that don't eat.
Yeah.
They're just not programmed to be looking for pink mice,
Right. So
they want lizards or frogs or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, here's one. But Reptilink has the lizard scent and shit like that.
I've tried all that.
I've tried it. Yeah, I didn't have much luck with it.
It's expensive too. I was like $40 for a little fucking. I don't know what the hell it is. How much is in there? Like 3 ounces or something like that. But
it's like one medium mouse that's just pureed.
Oh,
nasty.
But no luck, huh? With that Reptilink stuff.
No way.
I never had luck with it.
I've tried it.
I don't know. Yeah, I used I don't think I tried the actual links. I tried the just the scent. It comes in like a glass bottle with a dropper, I think, and that's basically what it is a pureed frog or lizard or whatever.
I've tried the links. I've tried the links to feeding. Neos that are great feeders. I thought it'd be awesome. The problem with the links for the neos, the very small ones, is the casing is very, very thin. And so the neo, a great feeding neo, strikes it and wraps it, it just turns to paste.
Just busts. Okay.
Turns to paste.
So why don't you have a freezer full of those little tiny day geckos that fucking crawl over your walls and shit like that? Like, isn't that like a great substitute? Maybe.
Probably, but I'm so paranoid about him getting parasites. Even from frozen lizards, I'm just paranoid about it. Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe not. I don't know. And I like to just beat myself up trying to get him to eat pinks, I guess.
Well, let's use Jose as a guinea pig.
Just fly Chuck back down here again, dude. Chuck caught like 20 of them.
Yeah, Chuck was the man at your party. Hey, bro, honestly,
Yeah.
Chuck was the man at the Bill Stiegel party and it was really cool to actually meet you, Chuck. I got to say, like, I don't think we gotten too close over social media, but when I met you in person, like your spirit and how fun of a time you were having at Bill's was just really awesome, man. It was cool to see you there. But why don't you drop your feedback on Bill's party? What was your overall review on the Bill Stiegel party?
First of all, thank you. Yeah, I have the same feelings. Honestly, it's cool to meet in person. You can talk as much as you want over social media, but you have I guess expectations of how someone's going to be when you meet them in person. And pretty much everybody at Bill's party, it was all positive expectations, and everyone kind of lived up to it. And I mean, the party was just epic. I mean, I was in Texas for only 19 hours. I flew down just for the party.
Yeah, right. For the party. Fuck any RBC.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Bill's and I wanted to go to Buc-ee's, and I went to both, and both were.
No, Bill's not wrong though. Once you leave Bill's party, it's like, all right, now what? I mean, unless you're eating some good food, it's kind of like a fucking dud after that. It really is. I
had a blast. I think it had ended. I was probably like 3 times the legal limit, so it's a good thing I didn't drive. I was lecturing a male at Chondrotown on how to feed rat's tails to his babies.
He did. He was. I was taking notes. I got my pad and paper out, and
I was like a chameleon. One eye was looking at the fridge, one eye was looking at Bill, and I was like, "You gotta listen to me. I promise." I did it to one snake one time. It worked.
That's epic, man.
No, hey guys, I'm gonna take this opportunity to bow out. I didn't want to take over time, and I'm gonna head get in the hot tub and get in bed, man. So,
all right, guys, give it up for the homie, the mayor of Chondrotown. Have a good night.
Alex, thank you, buddy. Chuck, it's great seeing you, man.
Later,
good
Bill.
job.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Alex is gonna take care of your light work now, Bill. Don't worry about it.
Okay, absolutely.
All right.
The mayor's aide.
Bye, bud.
Later. Definitely a mayor thing to say. I'm gonna go to my hot tub and
yeah, I know, right?
I'm gonna just wind down a little bit, have a bottle of wine. It was cool to see him, man. But yeah, I think it's awesome, Alex, that you are literally learning shit when Bill's learning it at the same time, as far as this new, things that think out the box, like the whole gizzard feeding to a neonate and shit like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something you're going to want to try out yourself in the future with your own stuff?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I'm going to try out. I really think that there might be something to feeding insects to these things as neonates.
Who said that? Who was the episode that said that about roaches? Oh, it was Richard Crowley, I think it was.
It was actually that episode that kind of triggered that.
Dubia roach. It was some sort of a roach. Some sort of a roach.
It was dubia roaches, or I don't know. But it just kind of makes more sense that these things would be eating insects, at least right out of the egg, even as opposed to a frog or a lizard. Like if you think about it,
insect is the most if you really want to say the what's on the menu for a neonate, possibly, you would think an insect would be the first thing you could process.
They have to come across insects way more than frogs or lizards.
Mouth, and it just opens its mouth and eats it.
Yeah, and also, these things are born so small, like they could fit on a quarter. I can't even see these things taking down a small frog or a lizard right off the bat, Yeah. So it just makes more sense, at least to me, that they would be eating some kind of insect right off the bat, and then maybe move up to frogs and lizards and then rodents and stuff.
Who the fuck?
I've heard that or read that before. I think it might have been Daniel
Natouche.
Yes. I think one of his studies where maybe he's I don't know if he cut one open in the wild or what the deal was, but I think they and I could just be imagining this, but I thought I remember reading that they had found insect parts in their stomach.
Yeah, well, there was a picture going around of one eating a moth.
Correct. Yeah, you're correct, Marshall.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Natouche or Somerville, but it was one of them. It could have been Daniel Natouche.
Okay.
Who's gonna be the one, man? Who's gonna fucking break this code?
I mean, what if it was that easy, where you just order some fucking dubias and throw them in there, and then
I'm gonna try it.
You're done.
My next clutch, if I get some picky eaters, I'm gonna try insects.
Dude, it's like fucking feeding a new Aki or some shit. Imagine it's just like, goddamn, like toss a couple insects in there and you're good. Call it a day. You can even throw like 10 in there and have it eat throughout the week. Because you gotta understand, once that insect is dissolves, it ain't throwing that thing. That thing is not coming out. It's gone. It's
and also an insect, you know, it has a whole exoskeleton to it. It has all
Some
that
roughage.
calcium. Yeah, it has all that calcium and stuff.
Even an isopod could be something then.
Yeah,
Like
I don't think that there's like maybe a specific insect. There's probably many insects that they would go after.
I just wonder. So, I mean, you think do they eat them alive, or like what's like? Because
Do they wrap them?
It can't. I mean, what's it gonna do, right? If it can't constrict an insect.
I think it just eats it. Yeah. And that would be the right prey item for them to do that, because I mean, an insect like a little beetle isn't going to get away. Like if that thing just grabs it and eats it,
right?
You know, it's not. It doesn't need to constrict it.
Well,
interesting.
Apparently, Patrick Holmes already tried crickets with his snake, and don't leave cricket without food for them. They will chew on your snake. It's pretty. I would never do that. That's crazy.
I think you probably have to be a little ruthless and rip the legs off of the cricket before you put it in there.
Well, okay, dude, that is kind of ruthless, but it's necessary, because I had an episode with Brian Susan, and we were talking about tree monitors, and I told him how, like, man, like my prime source of diet for my tree monitors are my grasshoppers. But man, they got some hind legs on them, man, and they have barbs on them. And so I was like, they were talking about like some people saying that they would find blood in the stool of the monitor and whatnot. So I'm like, well, fuck that. So I've been plucking those things off, and that shit pops. Like every time you take that thing off, it's like a human leg being popped off, and it's like, oh man. And then, you know, you just watch them get eaten, so it's all right. But insects are the devil, bro. I don't fuck with insects. I think they're evil looking. I think, what was that movie from the 90s? Starset Troopers or something like that? Or did you guys ever
Starship Troopers? Yeah. The alien bugs.
Ever since that movie, I'm like, aliens are gonna, or insects are aliens that are gonna come out and just fuck us up one day, bro. But yeah, who's gonna? I don't know, man. Alex, might have to be you, buddy. You might have to be the one to fucking really be, you know, Bruce Carpenter on this.
Hey, I'd rather try it with my pure sarong pairings than my designer pairings.
I mean, why not? I mean, especially if you have one that's just like, man, this thing wants nothing to do with food, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it would kind of be I guess maybe a last resort type thing. You know, if I really can't get it to eat, then throw some insects in there and see what happens.
I mean, yeah, because like there's certain behaviors of a neonate where you don't even waste your time, right? Like, I mean, like those ones that just run off the
runners.
Yeah, the runners are the worst.
Dude, those things are fucking freaking nature.
I mean, you know, I haven't had very many of those, like maybe one or two, but man, like as soon as they start, I just close the drawer and walk away, because it's frustrating to deal with.
That's all you could do. Yeah.
Socrates sent me a 42-minute video in pieces one time, and I couldn't believe this. And he was, and about this whole time, he was trying to get this one runner to eat, and he fucking actually got it to eat 40 minutes in. And basically by like letting it run, putting it back inside, and then opening it and trying again. He did that maybe over 100 times to eventually like he hit it perfectly on the neck as it was trying to run, where it just snapped and grabbed it. And I was like, I don't have the patience for that. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like I can't. I mentally, I wish I was that cool, but I'm not. There's no way. You know?
I found that I worked, you know, I was working one or two of them so much you can actually see them physically get tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'll come back tomorrow. It was, I mean, you actually saw it just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, there's stress cases, man. We were already talking about how they're born fucked up, right? They stress out way overly easily, I think. And that's why it's almost like I feel like personally, if I had a bunch of snakes to feed and I see that type of behavior, I'm probably gonna let that snake be alone for like a couple days, if not like, or do the whole Ryan Young thing where he doesn't even fucking offer to after a month after they shed or something, you know? Like that snake just isn't hungry. Maybe if it was hungry, it would act different. That type of thing, you know? But I also think it's not, I don't think it should be like a go-to for someone to just offer meals to a neonate that just shed. Because I think a lot of these neonates, some of them that do absorb that yolk, might need a couple days even after they shed. I mean, what do you like to do, Marshall? After you get a first shed on a clutch, what's your, like, do you just kind of look at the behaviors, or do you like to offer as soon as possible? Like,
no, I'm not in like a huge hurry. I I'll give them a couple days. It's not like they shed and I'm trying that night, you know. Like I'll normally wait till, it depends on how many are in the clutch. If there's 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever, I'll wait till 4 or 5 of them shed, and it's been a few days, then I'll give them a shot. And then like maybe if one shed like that morning or that afternoon, I'll go ahead and try it if I've got thawed pinkies, you know. But I'll give them a couple days usually. I'm not in a huge hurry. Now, unless they didn't absorb yolk, or if it's a little runt or a tiny one, and then I don't think you've got as much time to play with on those.
Have you ever tried feeding pre-shed?
Never. Maybe like once, maybe once or twice. I've never had good luck with it though.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some people that just they stand by that shit, and they think, oh, if you can get a snake to eat pre-shed, that snake's gonna be the biggest snake ever. Like and I'm like, that kind of fucks with me, because I'm like, well, man, that makes me want to try. But then again, like, what if you do something to that snake that's on edge already, and it's like, I don't ever want to fuck with this meal ever again. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen Bill do it a couple of times, and he got a couple to eat pre-shed, and then they shed, and then they didn't eat. They went to picky eaters after they shed, even though they had eaten that first time. So I don't know. I think the shed kind of changes them sometimes.
Yeah, and then we also have to like think about, as small as this snake is, as we're talking about how it could fit on a quarter, right? That yolk has to give it enough.
Yeah.
Like Nick, like I don't think we're understanding as a whole how much that yolk does for them as far as being full, to where like, okay, imagine anybody, like, you know, you go eat somewhere and you're hella full. What are you going to do when someone puts food in your face after you're really full? You don't really want food. I don't give a fuck how good it is that you like that type of food. You don't want to eat it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
think about how many pinkies would fit in a full yolk sack. It's got to be 3 or 4, right? At least.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that yolk sack is probably meant to last a solid 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Marshall, have you ever had a clutch of eggs that just didn't absorb the yolk good, and you're just like, what the fuck? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, that's why I don't like cutting, because it you know, from what I always regret it when I do it, because you'll always have a few that I feel like the cutting and I like all the movement and you know, fucking with them makes them come out of the egg prematurely, before they're ready, before the yolk's absorbed. And then they drag the yolk sac around, and you've got to tie it off or cut it, or, you know, that's why I'm reluctant to pip anything. Yes, you do get some. I don't even pip ball pythons. I mean, I let them just come out. I didn't cut one egg this year. I just let them come out on their own. You know, maybe, you know, 1 out of 200 has a tied yolk, or didn't have an egg tooth and drowned in the egg. But I mean, that's like such a small percentage that, I mean, to me, it's just not been worth it. You know, of course, when I first started, that was like that's the fun part, you know, like you can't wait to see what's in there, and you cut them. But I've just had too many come out when they weren't ready because they were cut.
Now, even if you have a clutch of 14 eggs and you see a couple pips, you don't fuck with those other eggs, is what you're saying? You let them come out?
Not until like maybe 48 hours later, I'll cut them.
A couple days, okay. And what have been the odds of those snakes making it, the 48-hour snakes that don't come out on their own? Do you feel like a lot of those snakes are the ones that, or have they?
Honestly, I've never really kept, you know, my record keeping is admittedly not the best. So I can't, you know, I can't give you any definite stats on that, but I don't remember, you know, if they hatch and they hatch with an absorbed yolk, whether they hatch first or last, I don't really remember there being a difference, like, you know, from the ones that hatch first to the ones that hatch last, you know, one or the other doing better than the other.
No, Chuck, how long has it been since that first clutch? I mean, have you had another clutch since then, or no?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I
Well, tell
got,
us more. What's going on then right now? What's happening within your own pairings and?
I had what I mean, pretty much everybody confirmed it. I suspected ovulation happened on November 14th. So I'm hoping for eggs in the next, I think December 22nd to 29th is about that window. Mm-hmm. And she's a really nervous Biak female. Like every time I walk in the room, you know, if I go near it, she's striking the side of the enclosure and stuff.
Oh, those are sketchy.
I wanted to show you guys something that me and Michael Majoros from Coloring Outside the Lines kind of thunk up. So I kind of gave him the idea, and he kind of built it, and then I modeled mine after his.
The hell?
It's a Wi-Fi
That's
camera.
like
it's a camera.
Yeah, so that's the nest box. So I could just leave that in there, and I could just check her through Wi-Fi and not have to, like, bother her.
Yeah, that's cool.
What kind of Wi-Fi cameras? They get off Amazon or something?
Yeah, they're called Wise.
Oh, yeah, I know that company. That's cool.
I had Blink, and that one was trash.
Show us again. How did you mount that in there? Let me just see. That's pretty nifty.
So this is just like a guinea pig hide.
Okay.
And you cut the hole in it at the top.
Right. Or you got tie wraps. You tie wraps.
Yeah, you zip tie it in there.
Smart.
And the cord's flat. It's even nice. It goes because I bred her in a Cambro, so it'll get right out the Cambro lid real nice without I'll be able to still shut it and click it shut. But yeah, I thought.
So is the camera? You got to plug the camera in. It needs power, or you can use batteries.
Yeah, no, it's power, so it'll go.
Okay.
I'll just run it out the side of the enclosure. It's a pretty long cord. I think it's like 6-7 feet, something like that.
I mean, they got cordless ones too, right? Don't they have ones that run like battery powered and shit like that? If you don't want to have cords.
I didn't see them. The only wireless ones I know have like internal batteries with a solar panel. What I've seen, like outside.
Right.
But yeah,
I may try that lift off nest box this year. I've got the same they're 2 or 3 gallon tote Rubbermaid tote boxes that I've been using for forever, since the beginning. And I've never, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to have to lift the top off and see what's in there. It'd be cool just to have one like that where you could just lift it up and see what's going on without. Well, hell, yours you don't even have to lift up. You just look at the camera. I
have the panning cameras in the enclosures right now, and I have a female. She was she just was like a gargoyle on top of a building. As soon as they ovulate, they just sit there under the heat the whole time. And now she's starting to really stretch her legs and look around, and I guess she's looking for somewhere to lay her eggs. So I was holding out, putting that in just for the show. So it'll be going in tomorrow morning.
Marshall, what do you like to put in your nest box, Marshall? Like what choice of substrate, like a towel, or do you put cocoa chip, or what do you put in there?
No, yeah, I normally just put cocoa. I used to use sphagnum moss, but for whatever reason, when they root around in it, it gets stuck in their face. So I quit using that. Now I just use cocoa. I'll just just like a ball python tub. I'll put water. Moisten half of it or something, just to keep the humidity up inside the box.
And that temperature you shoot for what in that box? Like when it comes to her getting ready to lay, what do you like that nest box to be at?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know. Just whatever.
Okay, you have it right underneath. You have it right underneath the heat panel, I'm assuming, in the back corner.
Yeah, it's under the heat panel, and it's also above the heat panel from the cage below, except for on the bottom cage. So, it's got to be. I'm thinking low 80s, something like that. Okay. I've never measured it, to be honest with you.
What's the hot spot up top? Like what do you run?
I run my stuff hot, man. I give everything low to mid 90s basking spot right under the heat panel. Now, if you go a little bit away from the panel, it's room temperature. I size my panels to where they can run wide open and only because I heat the room, right? So I can use a small wattage panel. And I put the perch pretty close to it, 5 inches or something. I have all the perches mounted within 5 inches of the panel, so they can get real close to it. And I'll let them get hot. And
Kind of like mine. Like that's about 5 inches, right?
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to tell, but yeah, like
Never
where
mind.
they can get right up under it.
Maybe
And I'll let them get hot.
Do you raise the temperatures, Marshall, whenever they ovulate?
I don't. I just everything.
you-
I don't even give them night heat when they ovulate.
Right.
They're
So you keep them at that low to mid 90s all the time.
daytime.
In the daytime, right?
Daytime high.
No power at night, right? Like at nighttime.
Nope.
It's the same.
Yeah. Ambient at night.
What's your ambient in your room? About 75.
It just depends. So summertime, it's year round. It's low 80s during the day, and in the summertime when I'm not cycling, I'll drop it to high 70s. And like I'm sitting here right now, and it's probably 73, 74 by the time that by the time morning comes, it'll be 71, 71, 70 maybe if it's really cold outside. But then they can heat up again in the as soon as the panels turn on.
What time you turn your panels on at?
I try to coincide it with the sunset or in the sunrise.
So you're like
I'm like tweaking it a little bit throughout the year. Every like month or so I'll adjust it.
Oh wait, actually the sun's coming up around like what, 6 o'clock your time right now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It goes down about 4:45 or something like that.
Now, man, I will say right now, I know we're talking green tree pythons here, but I was having a little like confusion with my tree monitors because I've had 2 clutches for them earlier this year. Separated the male, put them back. And I noticed the male just wasn't like, I was like, man, this is a time of year you should be doing stuff right now. Like, what's going on? And she wasn't really hanging much either. So I'm like, maybe she's not really nothing's really happening. Right. And so I went ahead and just noticed that obviously it's getting colder. It's rainier. I'm going to give them less heat. I'm just going to do something, I'm going to give them less heat during the day. So they went from having 12-hour basking heat to just having like 8 hours. I did that for like about 3-4 days. And then now I'm starting to see some action, I
saw that.
I can't just say, oh, that's what it was. But you'd have to think like this type of temperature stuff that any reptile notices will have that effect on kicking breeding in, you know what I'm saying? And I think, I think that's important. Like, that's why I'm as I'm, prolonging my experience keeping snakes, like I'm realizing how if you could get away with natural night drops in your room, ambient wise, that's really realistic for that snake on what it gets in the wild. Like a snake's not going to have a hotspot 24/7 in the fucking wild. Like there's a point where that snake gets the heat it needs and it's ready for the nighttime and then it drops.
Yeah.
But as you said, Marshall, as we get closer into winter, that night drop gets more heavier and heavier and heavier, which kicks in the breeding side of things,
Especially in this, my new room, I've got a ton of windows. My old room was in a basement, so it was mostly underground, hardly any windows, and had much better control of the temperatures. But now, I can't decide if it's a good thing or bad thing. I guess I'm still figuring that out. But they're, it coincides a lot more with what's happening outside.
Now, you have some people who just refuse to have a natural night drop because they're scared that their snake's going to get RI. If your snake gets sick during a night drop, there's something wrong with that snake, you would say, right? Like that snake shouldn't be getting sick. With a night drop that stays within 70s, you would say, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, so long as you let them warm up during the day.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, that could be a problem of them not getting them enough heat that they need at some point. That's why I'm like, man, shout out to Christopher Rice. This fool, he handles everything just based off the ambient heating in his room.
No hot spots.
I'm pretty sure no hot spots, right? I mean, do you talk to anyone else that talked to Chris Weiss in here? I know I talked to him pretty well. No, just me. Okay. Well, yeah, I think he just, because the way the sun hits or whatever, even in Florida, you would think like, isn't there a time and place during the year where it needs that heat? But for whatever reason, it hits mid 90s at a certain point in his room, and those females get what they get. And I feel like other people try to get away with that, but it's like, man, you got to really pay attention, like, and make sure that snake is getting certain temperatures even during ambient time of the day, but it's crazy how a lot of these snakes can handle quite a low of a night drop and be fine. But we're talking like night cycling and stuff. Is there anything that you do as far as cycling goes, Chuck? Like you do any kind of food cycling or anything like that as far as to help breeding go?
Yeah, so when I had my clutch, I was running no night drop year round, and then I started dropping and turned night drop on and started dropping and cycled that way, and I was successful. And then this year, I guess about a year and a half ago, I switched over to year-round night drop and didn't change the temperatures at all. Just kind of read the female because Socrates says that they produce follicles multiple times a year, and he sees it most of the time 3 times a year. So it was perfectly timed. I had some bad luck with the female. She bit my male in the face during a feeding response and wrapped them up. So kind of separated them, and she was definitely ready to go. But then I just kind of let her reabsorb. And that was about, I think it was maybe 8 months ago now or 6 months ago, whatever it was. And then this time I saw her, day hunting a lot. She was actually wrapping the water bowl and really hanging on the cool side. And she was just eating like a fiend. And I threw the male in with her, and they just started locking up. And I was just feeding her more often when she was asking for it, pretty much, until she went off feed. So I don't know if that's necessarily food cycling. Like, my belief is cycling's when you change things to make the snake do what you want it to do. I was just kind of giving her what she was asking for. So I don't know. I just kind of I bumped feedings up when she was wanting.
Marshall, you don't change shit, right? Your feeding schedule stays the same on everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Even with the basins, though, because you've had success with basins, something about that meal being big at a certain point during the process. You don't even bump your meals up for your basins when it's looking like you need to? It's just everything's the same meal, same schedule. You never miss.
No, I mean, it's not like the same schedule, but it's, it's close. It's every 10 to 14 days or 14 to 21 days or, but like, I don't intentionally say, okay, it's time to food cycle. I'm going to start feeding them more often. Like, it's just whenever I have the rats and whenever I have the time and whenever I have, it's not like I'm not like on a super regimented schedule.
Hey, Marshall, have you found by doing that with you running year-round night drop and then, not really cycling, have you found that if you had animals lay all year round, or do you have a specific season?
No, yeah, I do drop. So I do drop the nighttime temperatures from high 70s to low 70s. So they are getting a change, but the daytime temperatures are staying the same. And the temperatures on the thermostats and the heat panels are staying the same. So the only thing that changes is the night temperature. So they get a larger gradient when I'm cycling for breeding, temperature cycling.
And going back to the tint, going back to your room, do you have any of that radiant heat blocking tint? Because I've seen your room before. Your facility has a lot of windows. No,
yeah, it's full of windows. Yeah, so they get the full effect of the, daylight cycle.
Yeah, so I ripped down the shades on my one window in my snake room, and I put a window unit in there to kind of drop the temps down like 5 degrees lower than what I wanted during the summer, because it's not the best like HVAC in my house. But what I did was, because I wanted them to get that circadian rhythm and get the sunlight and all that, so I got this tint. It's like it just literally looks clear with like a bluish tint. But if you touch it, it's warm. But if you hold your hand like 2 or 3 inches from it, you can't. It doesn't let the heat penetrate the room. So it actually cooled the room down. And I forget if it was Tradesman or 1776 exotics. They're probably in the chat. I think it was Tradesman. But he did his whole room and said it made the world of a difference. And it really did for me, which is I used to get some bacon in my room. But when you put that,
and is this a piece of shade over the window that you're putting? Is what do you?
Yeah, it's just go on Amazon and look up radiant heat blocking tint, and it's just like tint in a car window. It's just a roll. You don't have to get it 100% accurate. I just did it with soapy water and a squeegee, and it was night and day difference. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Oh
Yeah, I don't ever have a problem with heat. I mean, I run heat even like when it's hot as shit here. The room is, got two walls that are touching the, conditioned part of the house, and then the biggest wall is basically up against the dirt. So even in the middle of the summertime, my oil radiator heaters are running in the summertime. So I'm always having to I'm not trying to block heat. If anything, it gets a little bit cooler than I would like in the wintertime when we have those like super cold nights, which is not very often, but there'll be a few nights of the year where it might get to like 68 or 67 in here, but only for, short periods. We don't have very many cold snaps like that. It might last for 2 or 3 days, and then we're back in the 50s again. So heat's not the problem for me.
No snowdrops in your area, right, Marshall, at all?
Yeah, we get snow like maybe once a year, not a ton, couple inches at the most. But I mean, it does get really cold. I mean, we had last year, it was down in the tens, single digits for 2 or 3 nights. And everything really got tested. My rodent room, the snake room. But I just bring in an extra oil filled, one of those oil radiator heaters, and I just leave it turned on like, half power all the time. And then the thermostat controls the other one. But it's not even on a thermostat. It's just on its own thermostat. I just leave it turned up like halfway. And that adds enough, extra heat to get things where I need them.
I'm noticing the best part of the year for my room personally, because this room just keeps in heat very easily. So when it's fucking cold as shit outside, it's perfect in this room. I think the coldest night we've had so far was like 38 degrees. And I just left everything off in here in the room, and I came back the next morning and it was 74 in here. And I'm like, oh, perfect. You know what I'm saying? And also because I don't want to run. Dude, my SDG&E bill is so fucked. Oh, man. Ever since I put these mini splits in and just running things how I want it, that's when I'm really starting to see the hefty cost of keeping reptiles is that fucking electricity bill. It's no joke. I need to get that solar like ASAP. But anyways, like temperatures. And Marshall, I've been at your place. I love the area. Like you have the way the temperatures are, obviously depending what time of the year, reminds me a lot of San Diego. But you just get colder.
Yeah. Plus it's below kind of below ground. Half the house is below ground, and it's all shaded. There's a bunch of trees in the backyard, so it's not getting a bunch of direct sun. It gets the evening sunset is pretty much straight in the window, but it's not enough it's far enough away that it's not cooking anything in here.
Now, we were talking about feeding and whatnot. I'm curious what your go-to or your preference when it comes to feeding your adults, females and males and whatnot. Chuck, what do you like to go with?
As soon as they can take rats, I give them rats. I got one male. It's weird. He won't take any weaned rats. Like 1 out of 10 he'll take, but he'll crush mice. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a scent thing, but I definitely rats. The babies I'm feeding adult mice to, like, I don't know if you can see that one. That one's one of my babies. That's only 13 months old, and it's taken a medium mice already. I should be bumping it up to largest soon. It sits like this all day. It doesn't perch.
Wow. Wait. The one to the very far right, or I guess your far left?
The middle one. The middle one. That's 13 months old.
That's how he perches all the time?
All the time. I gotta put one down here that actually sits like a green tree. Like that one's good. That one read the script.
Does it shit normal? Everything normal with that snake? Like does it does everything else normal?
Dude, as soon as it eats, it's back in the S position. It might perch up like a regular green tree. Do like 10%.
Probably just wants to eat.
What was that?
Probably just a fat ass that just wants to eat. This is probably ready to eat again.
That's the one that took it right off the rip, like 10 days old, and hasn't looked back.
Yeah. Dang. I mean, don't you guys feel like some of these chondros will just keep fucking eating if you offer them food. I feel like there's some points where some of these females, I'm like, yo, like I just fucking fed you. And like, I feel like they would take another one if you would give it to them.
Mm-hmm. I think they're very instinctually, they're very opportunistic feeders, and they don't know when the next meal's coming.
Yeah, I have a female aquaberry sister. I swear the snake never sleeps. I walk in the room and she's in the hunting position no matter what time of day or night. She never sleeps.
Now, we were talking during the start of this show, Marshall, we were talking about how the snake that ovulated for you only got one lock, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now
that I saw.
Now,
okay. Yeah,
could have been more, but from what you know, there could have been too many more because it was a very short introduction type of thing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Have you had experience with this before? Like, have you had males do very few locks and then them still give you great clutches, or what's been your experience with that?
I mean, I don't think I've ever had one that just locked once. Now I've read other people have had. Bill said it's happened. He's had it happen. And I don't remember who, but over the years I heard people say, that the whole one and done thing. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's ever happened to me that I can remember, but again, my record keeping is not up to par for the most part. So I don't know. Yeah, it's be interesting to see how it works out.
Well, if there's any kids out there listening, do you influence record keeping now, Marshall?
Man, I'm trying to.
Do you think it would have been cooler if you did? That's all I'm saying. Like, or are you happy with this?
Man, when I first started it got to a point where I was spending almost as much time keeping records as I was like doing maintenance, and it's like, you know what? Fuck all this. I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. It just takes the fun away from it. It's like doing fucking paperwork at work. It's like it's just not what I want to be.
You're bound to fuck up. That's what I'm saying. Okay, because I know that for someone in the chats, God bless him, but he told me a snake was in shed when it never shed. He just forgot to mark something. And I'm like, so that has to happen a lot. That's the case. Because if you're Mr. like, let me write down everything, dude, times happen where you probably wrote on the wrong card, or you forgot to write something, or whatever. Or good.
I've kind of moved to where I write something down if it's unusual, and I've been using Reptiscan, so that helps. Because that makes it easy, I can just zap the QR code, and boom, it's shit, or it's shed, or it, ovulated, or locked, or whatever. So that's made it easy. But like I said, for a while there, before I had that, I would feed every snake in the room, and it would take me an hour, and then I'd spend freaking 30 minutes writing on everybody's card, and then it was like, I don't know. It just takes the fun away from it for me.
Alex,
I don't want to be doing paperwork in the snake room.
Alex has been in my place, and Alex, I don't know if you remember seeing this, but if you come over to my place, you're gonna see a stack of fucking forceps, like shit ton of forceps. And guess what? Those forceps at one point were individually set for every single one of these snakes. And what do you think happened eventually? Like, I'm just somebody where if I don't always put it back where it needs to go. I'll set it down to the right. I'll set it down to the left. Shit, there's been one time where I used the forceps for all the snakes and I didn't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I try, but it's just like sometimes a little less is more, and
you gotta make places for those forceps.
I had them like literally hidden. Like I had places for all of them, but sometimes I'm on the phone with you, Alex, or some shit, and I'm getting confused and I'm not thinking, I'm just saying record keeping could be something where I feel like do what you feel is necessary, but I don't know. I just say like, for the future, if you're on a podcast, it'd be cool to have some notations maybe from the past.
Yeah. I'm kind of with Marshall on that. I prefer to keep track of stuff that's more unusual. Like if the snake eats every 2 weeks, I don't really need to know that. I know that it ate 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So, I guess, I don't keep track of locks either. If they lock, they lock, they don't. And I pair them up until they go or they don't or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so
I whip my marker out when I see an ovulation. That's when I'm fucking.
Yeah. Well, there's stuff like that. You know, you mark that down, and like if they refuse food or whatever, you know, I think record keeping really plays more into effect whenever you're actually breeding them. But as far as like regular maintenance goes, you know, like I don't keep track of when the snake shed last or took a shit or whatever.
Yeah.
If the snake looks backed up, I'll probably spray it down pretty good or soak it and not feed it until it shits. But other than that, I don't really keep track of much either.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick because I remember when I got those 2 awesome snakes from Bill. Well, one of them from you. Thank you so much, Alex.
You're welcome.
And then the neonate, right? And then I was like, I had 2 meals in the neonate and it hadn't shit yet. And I was like, oh man, I'm kind of worried. And then Bill was like, oh, you know, he told me to chill. But then you're like, nah, fuck it. I wouldn't be worried, right? Sure enough, that thing shit fucking perfectly fine. I have PTSD from prolapses and shit. So I'm just like, what the fuck, you know? But I don't know. Like a lot of people like to count the shits in emeralds because of like, you know, don't do too many, right? Because of whatever.
Yeah.
But with chondros, I think it's not much of a necessarily concern unless you see it backed up. And I'm like, okay, but
exactly.
I had a female not give me a shit for like fucking 3-4 meals, and it didn't look bloated at all. It looked perfectly fine. And mind you, it eventually shit. Yeah, but I don't think stressing shits from a chondro should be such a thing to even be worried about. I personally, I don't know.
No, I mean, you know, like I said, if it looks backed up, then I would just say don't feed it until it shits.
Right.
But you know, it seems like emerald keepers are more on top of the shits than green tree people, and right. I don't really know why that is. You know, I don't.
Emerald. Here's the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marshall. But if an emerald does not have what it needs, especially with humidity, hydration, it won't shit. It will literally. It'll just be so uncomfortable, and it will just hold on to that shit. That's why a lot of people have to dump fucking rain, like fake rain on it and water, because that's
or soak them.
Or soak them, or just simply put them on the floor. I mean, what Sock takes his to the grass, and he lets them stretch out, and then it would just fucking spray them with the water hose, and and it just shits just like that. So a lot of times it's just not the snake's not. It doesn't have what it needs, almost, right? You would say, Marshall. Sometimes,
or something. It's not getting enough. You know, whatever. It's not getting enough. It's not humid enough, or it's too dehydrated, or it's, you know. Who knows? I do keep track. I don't like. I'll, you know, if the snake looks like it's backed up or you know, swollen up or whatever, I'll scan it and see. Okay, well, it's been whatever 3 meals since the last time it shit. So I'll soak it, or I'll do whatever. I think I told you in our, I don't know if it's one of our text chats or whatever, but I've got a chondro adult female, and she looked really backed up, like, you know, because you see them and they're perched up and you don't really notice. One night she was out, she was hunting, and I was like, holy shit, this snake looks like she's about to explode, you know, look like a balloon.
Right.
And so I scanned the QR code, 10 small rats taking a shit.
Whoa, god damn.
10. And I was like,
oh, you took a picture. I remember you put your hand next to it. It was a fucking mountain of shit. Oh my god. Yeah. So I mean,
it is good, you know. Hey kids, keep records, man. You know, it's good. It's good.
Oh man. But it's also like where if you have something eating so regularly or on schedule, just pay attention to your animal. Like, I mean, like it is important to, you know, keep records, but once you have a collection that's maintainable and you're in the zone and things are on a good tightness schedule, then just, okay, if it looks bloated, treat as is, you know. But I will say though, man, like if you have things dialed in and right, there's nothing you need to do. They'll shit on their own. They'll fucking shed good. And I'm starting to realize that too, because I went through quite the ringer with, you know, having puppy pads as the substrate. Like I almost had to fucking rain chamber almost everything, or the way I would rain chamber, but I almost had to do that to almost all my emeralds to get them to shit. And ever since I switched to cocoa chip, and that humidity's just been where it's above 60 all the time now, dude, they shit on their own now, and the sheds are just fucking just they're great, you know. So I don't know. I just you know, and Warren Booth was also the one to tell me, like, if you have someone who has to regularly put their snakes in a fucking shower to get the shit, that's not good. Like, that's not normal. Like, you shouldn't have to do that, you know. So I mean, I know there's case by case and there's scenarios where, like, okay, she's bloated, you should help her out, but it shouldn't be a regular practice or a regular thing to do for that snake. You would
right.
say,
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chuck, I want to ask you, where are you at right now overall as far as your excitement in the Chondro game? I mean, I'm sure you've been through a lot of ups and downs. Used to be a part of a podcast. What happened with that? Why aren't you no longer a part of a podcast anymore?
Life got really busy. I have I have a full-time job, obviously, and then
What do you do, Chuck? Remind me.
I'm a police officer.
Oh wow, I could have called that. I don't know why. I think he told me that too, though. I could have sworn, but anyway, you seem like a cool cop. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, that, and then I got 2 little girls, 5 and 2, and
respect.
You know, trying to be a dad, trying to be a husband, and then I just got my realtor's license, and I've been I got into the foreclosure game, so I'm like saving people from going into foreclosure, and I got to hunt the leads out myself, really.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, I'll be door knocking tomorrow, and just helping people out. And I kind of found like a new passion with that, and it was just too much because it's, you know, I have a partner with that, and that's kind of a full-time job in itself, and you're always working because it's not just you're showing a house and then you're selling it and going to closing. You're running to municipal offices that are, you know, an hour away to go get a CO for, you know, so that we can get, you know, find out what it actually needs for somebody to move into the house. And then you're calling, you know, doing legwork for other shit. But life just got really, really busy, and my mind wasn't there, and you know, I wanted to focus more on the animals. I just felt like I was just doing too much.
Yeah, I feel you. Especially because, like, what you said about the animals, like, there's times where I'm like so stressed about getting shit done with this podcast where I'm like, fuck, I wish I could just worry about my animals right now, you know? Because there are so many fucking things that, like, I mean, I feel like I'm never caught up in this room, but like, I really want to make sure that the priority is the animals, you know, as much as I love doing this in the podcast. I mean, it's why I'm here, is because of the animals. And do you feel like right now you're keeping and maintaining your collection, or like, I mean, are you ready to take on breeding and clutches and shit like that with all this stuff happening in your life?
Yeah. I feel like it's, cause you know, it's not just showing up once a week or 3 times a week and just sitting in front of a camera for 2 hours. You're doing work every single day. You know, you're calling people, you're setting stuff up, you're making videos, you're whatever. It's like, you do a lot, and it's a good thing it's your one and only job, because could you imagine?
No.
I love the fact that, you know, Leo's your son's name, right?
Leonardo. That's
I love that you have him in there with you, and you're jamming out, and he's in his little rocker. Like, it's cool shit that you're like including him with it. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it.
That fucker ain't got no choice, to be honest.
He's gonna be cleaning cages pretty soon.
I hope not. I hope he's like, we're okay, son. Let me show you how to work in here, versus him fucking knocking over enclosures. And because I mean, I feel like that was kind of me. You know what I mean? I was mischief, dude. I would get into things and not do what I was supposed to do. So I had to be ready for anything. But you're right. It's I'm very blessed to have what I have. You know, I just don't know. There's no way I could be able to keep the energy that I have going on for this podcast on top of doing what you guys do. I mean, because even Alex Warren has his own business, right? That's still cracking. You got your own job every day almost, right, Alex? Or what's your schedule like?
Yeah, I own a mobile dog grooming company. It's, you know, I work 5 days a week and do the snakes on top of that, and it kind of feels like yours and Bill's. Yeah, I was gonna say, between, you know, my collection and Bill's, it feels like I do the snakes more than I do the dogs. You know, it's basically 2 full-time jobs. You know, Marshall, how many snakes do you have?
Over 200.
Yeah, right now it's like 250-ish.
250, and you have a full-time job as well, right?
Bro, this guy's up.
Yeah.
This fool.
I don't understand that. Like,
he's up late too. Like Marshall, I don't know how you do this shit. Bro.
I don't know. I couldn't imagine having 250 snakes and a full-time job on top of that. And, like a social life and, all this other shit.
This will travel the country, going to every fish concert you could possibly go to. It's insane.
So, they're a lot
I don't
of work.
sleep. I don't sleep very much.
You don't at all. It's nuts. And you're still going hard in the paint with your full-time job. I remember when I first came over to your house a couple years ago, and I remember you're taking me. You're like, I gotta wake up at 4 a.m. before I take you to the airport and all that shit. I'm like, Marshall, you never want to just maybe do the snakes full time? And you're like, nah, I just rather not. And I don't know. I just give you props, Marshall. Like I fucking tip my hat to people like you for sure, because it's not something that you've been doing for only 5 years. You've been doing this your whole life, and you're not letting off the gas from what I can see at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, the time to go full-time snake was when I was younger, and I missed that opportunity in life. And there was a while there when I was like, okay, I'm going to do it, in a couple years, maybe I can do it. And, fortunately, I've been successful at my day job enough to where it's like it's just hard to leave it. It's hard to leave the stability and the money. And man, if I'm making money, I'll freaking work 24/7.
It's all
in here.
That's also made your life easier in the snake room because of that too. Because sales isn't something that is like always on your plan,
exactly. Like I don't have to sell any of these snakes to pay my rent. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm dependent on the snake income. It's kind of like, so it's pros and cons, man. Would I be happier overall if I just had to work in here all day? Yeah, probably, but that would come with a whole nother different stress, different stresses. Probably be stressing about money more, or stressing about, who knows what. I'd be worried about, is this snake gonna go or is it not? I'd probably be keeping records, who knows?
Well, man, how do you think Bill Stiegel feels? Hey, Bill, how's that hot tub? What's the temp like right now?
Man, I'm his record keeping, dude. He'll ask me. He'll be like, "When did that snake lay?" And I'll be like, "Dude, she just laid." Like,
hey, boy, come here. I got a question.
Yeah.
But okay, I mean, man, being a cop can't be easy, bro. I mean, New Jersey too. Like, it's are you city cop or what division are you in?
I used to be in the city, and I've since transferred to the state. I work for the DEP now, so I work. I do like fish and wildlife law. I do criminal traffic and fish and wildlife where I'm at now. But I'm stationed in the largest state forest in New Jersey, so I do.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I don't exactly love my career, but the job I have is pretty neat. I get to ride in helicopters and ride quads and dirt bikes and stuff. So
what? That's sick.
Nice.
Every day it's something new or what?
What was that?
Every day it's like either a quad or a helicopter. Like is your day like something new every day, or what's it like?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, like one day I'll be, I'm on our rifle team, so one day I'll be, working with SWAT teams from all around the state looking for some escapee out in the middle of the forest, or I'll jump in the helicopter to go do an observation flight for like if there's a forest fire or something like that, go up with the investigators if I'm lucky to jump in it. We jump on a dirt bike and go look for a missing person. We've worked plane crashes before. It's a pretty it's a neat job. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's a miniature version of Alaskan State Troopers in South Jersey.
Is it normally daytime? Like, is your shift a daytime shift, or like what are your hours normally during the week?
So we do have permanent nights and permanent days, but I'm on my 14th year now, so wow. I turned into a pumpkin after midnight. I'm an old man.
Same here. I don't. Obviously, ask Bill. I went to bed at 9:30 at his party. Hey, but I'll tell you what, he got me fucking hammered the night before. I was really hungover that night. And it was a hot night too, man. It was hot that night. Oh my god,
That wasn't hot, bro.
For me, it was hot. It was humid.
That was not.
I sweat my ass off. I was keeping up with all the geckos.
Man, listen, I have a wrap-up topic. Alex, if you want to get one ready to go, and Marshall after this, that'd be great. But my wrap-up question and topic for you, in a sense, for this, Chuck, is biosecurity, right? Like, there's always talks about NITO and whatnot. I'm curious, have you added anything new that you had to either NITO test or quarantine, or are you not quarantining anything right now? Is your collection closed off? Where are you at with that? How's your biosecurity? Let's talk about that.
Everything in my collection's tested multiple times and it's all negative. I got a snake that it's negative, but I had violated my protocol as far as, the 3-month quarantine to mate it. It was in, a friend of mine's collection for a little bit. It was in his quarantine. It came here and I tested a couple times when my female was showing signs, and I tossed him in with her. So I did kind of like break the rules a little bit, but everything's tested. Everything's negative. I've had, this past year, a couple RIs. I lost a snake or two, and they were all tested, even when sick, when I thought they would be shedding the virus, and all negative. As far as the forceps go, all the forceps are in the same pile, but each snake is given their own forcep every single time they're fed, and I just spray them down with like 90% alcohol and just, or dip them inside. I have a Gatorade bottle full of F10. I'll dip them in F10 real quick and then let them air dry, and then whoever gets the forceps, the next feeding is, they've already been sanitized. So, but as far as that concerned, yeah, that's kind of like, I don't want to say I'm a conspiracy or whatever. I think NITO is very real. I just personally believe there's like maybe 100 strains of NITO and only one's really, really bad. Just like there's many strains of a coronavirus, but better be safe than sorry. If I'm going to be supplying people with animals that are going to be purchasing them off me, I'm going to be sending them to other collections. It's best that I just I'm safe about it, and everything's got to be tested and whatnot. So I try to I try to play by the rules.
You said you had 2 snakes that died earlier this year from RI. Was that you said this year they passed, or?
Yeah, I don't. It was one turned into a mouth rot issue that I got a culture done on, and we just couldn't pinpoint what it was. And then by the time we found out what the culture grew and what it was susceptible to dying to, I had to get amikacin, and I just couldn't get my hands on it in time. It took it took the lab a little bit to grow the culture and stuff like that. So,
and when you notice the signs of RI, did they crash pretty quick, or was it like?
It was
like how long? Huh?
It was prolonged. It took a few weeks.
It took a few weeks.
And I mean, the RI was cured, and then it turned into a mouth rot, and then it was just a bacteria that we couldn't it was resistant to Baytril, which I was shocked.
Damn.
It was 2 different types of bacteria inside the mouth, and both of them only were sensitive to amikacin.
And they were adults. These are grown, like full-grown snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bummer, man. Well, someone brighten the mood. Let's see, Alex, what do you got?
So Chuck, just to kind of add on to what you just said, whenever you move adult green trees, sometimes they just don't establish very well. I had a couple adults that I bought this year, and they died as well. And I think that whenever you move established adults, they just don't do well for whatever reason. And there was really nothing you could have done. It was just the move just kills them for some reason. But I guess my question is there a piece of information that you could go back and tell yourself before you started all this, and not necessarily someone just coming into this, but like, is there something that you would tell yourself to do or not to do when you're first coming into this?
4 words: take your fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I've messed up, it was because I was rushing.
Yeah.
Patience. These things will teach you patience, and they'll humble you real quick. So, I would, and I would tell my younger self, just slow down, take your time.
And that's like I will say because I'm a victim to myself from not having patience and just doing things thinking like, fuck it, let me see what happens. I do blame the ball pythons because they gave me bad habits, but still, you fuck around and show impatience with chondros, you will find out the hard way, and it sucks.
Yeah.
You kick the rocks for it. It's really bad. But
just like Alex said, getting adults, and man, they're just hit or miss whether or not they're going to settle in or they're just
they never do. You might get lucky and get a clutch out of them, or but I've had terrible luck with adults. From people that I trust, and really from not even moving them that far, moving them from, not like I'm moving them from, a whole different part of the country or whatever, but for whatever reason, man, especially older animals, anything that's, been living somewhere its whole life, and then you just pick it up and bring it into a new environment, they never adjust well, ever.
Yeah.
That's been my experience, at least. Every animal I've ever bought as an adult has just eventually crashed on me. So I don't do it anymore. I mean,
even snakes that never bred, like just it being that grown, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
And why? I always wonder about that, because people get in import adults all the time, and it seems like it's kind of a 50-50 with them.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like imports do better as adults than sending someone, it coming from an already established collection.
Yeah. That's a good, interesting point. But yeah.
What do you got for Chuck? Wrap up question, Marshall.
What are your goals with chondros? How are you keeping anything else besides chondros right now, or is it just exclusively?
No, just green trees.
So what are you like? What's your goals? How big do you want to grow your collection? Is there any specific bloodlines that you're trying to get or want, or kind of what's your plan for the next couple of years?
As far as size, I would love to have like in the ballpark of like maybe 16 like adult breeders, like 6 good males, 10 good females, and then just from there just rotate in my holdbacks and whatnot. I really would like to get some red neonate Biocs and mix them with some really killer male poultry animals. Whether those males are yellow or reds, I'll get some. Right now I have a really nice looking yellow neonate Maniquari male that is going to hopefully sire this clutch I'm expecting out of this red neonate Bioc. I really like the mixes they get, but I'll get, if I can get a snake that was a red neonate with that hollow triangle dorsal pattern, but just with some screaming electric blue inside of that, and then eventually get out of the Bioc and keep on breeding them to poultry animals, I think I could achieve almost pure red poultry animals as neonates, and eventually just want to make lime green snakes with electric blue dorsal screaming down the back, and just make some really cool locality animals. Not like I can predict the future, but I think they are. Somebody would see the adult animals and just know that it's a locality animal, and maybe have a little bit of a better chance at getting something that looks like the adults, rather than rolling the dice on a designer. And you can get them in the hands of people at entry level cost.
Mm-hmm.
I would say right now for a new person coming in, like if you're like looking to get any foundation built for your chondro dreams or whatever, dude, BX is probably the most powerful thing you could add. I feel like you can't go wrong with having some powerful BX females to build from. You know what I mean?
People sleep on them, man.
I don't know why.
Sub adults for $350, $400. I mean, that's and I love how they label them as orange neos, or who just did it? Oh God, it was one of the big box, like Reptile Pets Direct or some shit. They had yellow. I was talking to Alex about. They had 3 yellow Bioc females that were sexed, and they were just red neos that were going through the OCC, and someone scooped all 3 of them up for $350 a pop. They were red neo females, and they were definitely over a year old because they were going through the OCC.
Yeah, but I would say that some of that orange tint is promising. Like I've seen, you know, I have a lot of BX, so I've seen BX kind of go through OCC, and I know there's a certain color that you see in a BX, like that orange-ish kind of crazy citrus color that you see in some of them. That's a promising BX right there. I could tell you from anytime I saw that kind of color going on, that it was probably one of the nicest BX I've gotten.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is they're not yellow. They're not just yellow BX. The orange ones are they're reds technically.
Right.
So like that pattern, that hollow, that I just love the patterns on it.
Even a yellow BX is fire though. I'm just, I'm not trying to go down the whole yellow red thing, but I'm just saying even a yellow BX could turn out to be something very fucking fire for sure.
Dude, there's such a wild card.
Yeah.
BX are so neat because you don't know what the hell you're gonna get. I got a red neonate and she looks like the Doppler radar. She's got yellow splotches all over her.
Do you think Mark?
They do good when you breed other things into them too.
Right.
Yeah. You tell some designer stuff. Now, do you work with BX, Marshall?
I did at one point. I had 3 or 4 females that I used to breed tiger stripe and calico and whatever I was working with back. It's been a while. It's been there were some of the first animals that I bought, but a lot of my original kind of founder stuff was half BX.
What would you say
from those pairings?
Are the eggs? The eggs seem to be larger eggs, and what were you seeing as a difference with BX females with clutch and egg size?
The biggest clutch I've ever had, I think, was laid by. It wasn't by by a BX. I think the biggest clutch I've ever had was maybe like 22 or 23, something like that, and it was from a sarong. But I had a BX that laid multiple clutches that were close, like maybe not quite 20 animals or something like that came from them. They weren't. As far as quantity wise, they didn't the most eggs that I've ever gotten, but they definitely lay more than the stuff that I'm working with now. It seems like the designer stuff, and I don't know if it's because they're not as outcrossed or they definitely don't seem to be as fertile as the wild caught stuff or the pure locality stuff. And again, that could just be my animals. It could be that, they're just too, I don't know, inbred's not the right word. Maybe it is the right word. They're too inbred.
We know right now. Inbred for sure. Call them fucking.
Oh yeah, I know.
Freaks.
Marshall, you're still going with the albino, the head albinos, right? Like those are still going.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that she said that they're breeding right now, aren't they? You said you have two pairs going right now?
Yeah, she's off feed. I'm waiting for her to ovulate any day. She may have already ovulated. I took a picture of her a couple of weeks, a week ago maybe. She was on the floor of the cage, which is odd for her. And she definitely looked like she had just eaten, even though she hasn't in 4 or 5 weeks. So it's possible that I missed it. This same female did this last year though. She went off feed, she swelled up, she turned colors, and then she ended up reabsorbing and didn't do shit. So we'll see.
All right. So if you get an albino, what's the price tag on that?
Relax, Alex.
Jeez, I don't know, man. Who knows?
Straight up trading for Gasanova.
I would love to see the crazy offers on albino because Marshall won't. Marshall won't take it. I'm telling you right now. He's a motherfucker. He's gonna make people starve for that shit if he ever hits it.
Okay, so Versace. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
You said Versace is the head albino, right? 100% head albino.
Yeah, he's 100%, and then I have a female 100%.
Okay, and you said that he's had something like 25 clutches or something like that, right?
Yes.
Has anyone else that has bought snakes from you, from Versace, produced albinos?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of. But you got to realize it took me to make the first one. Took 11 years, 13 years, something like that. From when I bought Versace as a baby And later that year is when Damon Sousies produced his first albino, and I immediately realized that they were related. So that's when I considered the project started. Was like, holy shit, this guy's a possible het. And from that moment to actually producing an albino was, I have to go back and look, 11 or 13 years.
Over a decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's old enough now that if people had, if people out there had stuck with it, there should be.
Right. I've always kind of thought that, because as prolific as Versace is, I'm surprised nothing has popped up from somebody else.
Man, no, I agree.
You even have holdbacks from Versace that could potentially have it too, right?
Oh yeah.
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 So you never know. It's still a possibility for sure. But you kind of like, I mean, you don't even think about it anymore, do you, Marshall? Because you're kind of just fucking.
Nah.
You're over it.
Nah. I mean, I'm not over. I'm just hoping that maybe if I don't think about it, maybe it'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna happen if this pair goes again. I'm sure I'll get another one. I'm just, I'm waiting for the clutch where I get, instead of 10% albinos, I get like 75%. From head to head. It's never happened. I've only gotten them. The most I've ever produced in one clutch is 2. So
yeah.
I'm due.
It's 50-50 or it's 25% chance head to head.
You should get head to head. You should get 25%, but I've gotten way under that.
Okay.
So
even the albino you did hit died. Right.
I mean, I've hit like 6 or 7.
And they all died.
I've produced a ton of them. Yeah, they've all died.
And the most recent one was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Damn, that thing looked fire too, man. Fire.
That one lived for like 6 months, didn't it?
No, not that long.
No, it lived for it was a runt.
Yeah.
Came out with no yoke. It lived for like a couple weeks at the most. The longest I've ever had it one live is 2 years. Yeah. So I mean, they can. And the first 2 that were born, Trooper and Damon's, they lived to adulthood. They never reproduced, but so I don't know. Time will tell.
So
I'm not giving up on.
What is it with that gene though? Because if you've produced 6 or 7 and they haven't survived, and then Trooper and the other guy had adults but they never produced,
yeah.
It seems like there's something with that gene, with the albino gene.
Yeah, it could be. Totally could be. The female that I had that died, that lived to 2 years old, she was doing great, and then got some kind of I noticed she had some kind of a blockage, and apparently like a rodent claw or bone or something had gotten stuck in the intestinal tract and started acting like a hook. So everything that was going past, it just started collecting stuff. And took her to my vet. He did surgery to remove it, and she just died. She never recovered from the surgery. I've never had a snake do well after surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't expect it to. I mean, there has to be a lot of snake fucking surgery. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But it was the only albino I had, so I was like, fuck it, I'm not just gonna let it. I got to do something, even though high probability it's gonna die.
Trying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do nothing, So
yeah.
Well,
just turn around and sell it real quick before it dies.
Hey Chuck, this 2 hours went by really quick, man. What a great episode. I appreciate your time. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna let you slide without the hot seat questions. This is your first time at Trap Talk, so I'm gonna hit you with these hot seat questions. And if you don't mind, Alex and Marshall, why don't you guys end with a one hot seat question for the homie Chuck when we end things? All right, you cool with that? You think you can gather one, Marshall?
Sure.
Alex, is that feasible for you, Alex?
Yeah.
All right, cool. You guys are committed. Guys, do me a favor, get the likes up for Chuck. All right, it's hot seat questions time. Chuck, quicker the better, right, buddy? The faster you can answer these questions, the more player you are. That's how it works. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, guys. Hot seat questions. Chill chondros coming in hot. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
A cut or no cut?
Egg cut.
On what day?
Before 55.
Red chondro neo or yellow chondro neo?
Reds.
If it was your first chondro, would you go locality or designer?
Locality.
Favorite locality?
Maniquarry.
Least favorite locality?
Aru.
To spray or mist a chondro? I know, it's great, huh? To spray or mist a chondro, or to never spray and mist a chondro?
Hose them directly.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay.
One reptile you would import anywhere around the world to your collection, what would it be?
What was it? One reptile what?
Any reptile you could import anywhere around the world to your collection today, what would it be? If you could just pick
a giraffe.
A what?
Giraffe.
It said reptile, sir.
A giraffe.
I understand you're into mammals. But reptile, please.
I love Gila monsters.
Oh, really?
If I could keep them here, I wouldn't have green.
Yeah, they're legal. I was gonna say they're legal in New Jersey for sure, right?
Yeah, you can't even say the word Gila monster. It's illegal.
Yeah.
That's how illegal they are.
What about one reptile you could think of that nobody should import? Don't touch it.
Oh God, all pythons.
I
said that out loud. I said the quiet part out loud.
Yay sports or boo sports, Chuck?
Yay, go birds.
What's that? Eagles? Oh God.
Eagles
fan, bro? Oof.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, how about this?
You see that game?
Worst fans of sports. Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. What?
What's the most outstanding Eagles game that you've ever experienced? Like either if it was, you don't have to be at the game, but what's the one game that you like, they'll always stick with you being an Eagles fan?
Oh, fuck, it's two of them. I'm not going to say the Super Bowl. I'm going to say both the NFC Championship games that my dad took me to that they lost when I was a little kid.
Damn, respect. I've been there. I've been to a game with my dad where our team lost, and it sucks. But
yeah, but you were there with your dad.
Yeah, exactly. That's what matters. Yeah, exactly. Even though he was cussing the whole time in the car, but it's all good. All right, West Coast rap or East Coast rap, Chuck?
Oh, man, I really don't listen to rap. I'm going to go West Coast.
All right, how about this? Favorite genre of music?
Like alternative rock. Disturbed, Godsmack.
Oh, Godsmack, for sure. All right, here we go. Little word association. First thing to come to mind. Milk.
Cow.
Substrate.
Pup bed.
First time chondro keeper on Facebook.
Fuck. No, because they're all going to get me canceled.
Amateur.
Green Tree Pythons of America. I don't fucking know.
Oh, shit. Okay. Shipping.
Yay.
Mites.
What was it?
Mites.
Mites. Nix Mix.
Instagram trolls.
Probably don't own chondros.
If you had to get rid of one platform forever, is it Facebook or Instagram? Which one needs to go?
Facebook.
All right.
I don't really go on it, so Facebook.
Alex, what's your last question?
If you could reproduce one species that was not chondros, what would it be?
Gilas.
Okay.
Mark.
Yeah.
So is there one species of chondros or four?
Not chondros.
There's
Anything but chondros.
Wait, I'm confused.
No.
Who's asking the question right now? I'm so confused.
I'm dead sober and I'm so fucking confused.
Yeah. Alex, you're already done. You said your question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Fuck, dude. Marshall, what's your question?
Are there four species of chondros or one?
Ooh,
There's
yeah.
4 species.
What are the 4?
Morelia azurea azurea, Morelia azurea uterenus, Morelia azurea pulcher, which is my favorite, and Morelia viridis.
And Ryan Young said that there'd technically be 5. I don't know what the 5th one is. I forget.
I could see that. I could see more of them coming out because you got like the Tanta Islands tied in with the mainland poultry stuff. I think that there's tiny little. I think that keeping and breeding chondros and learning about them and finding more shit out is the most progressive species being kept in a hobby. Period.
Yep.
It's growing is the most popular, or one. It's growing in popularity. You get, big guys like Kobolka and stuff getting an entire wall of green trees. You're going to see a lot of popularity in the next 5 to 7 years, in my opinion.
I agree.
Well, there you have it, man. Chuck fucking nailed that shit. You done killed it, Chuck. We had, like I said, 2 hours went by quick, but we had just shy of 60 people tapped in for your show tonight. What do you have to say to all the love and support you had in the comments and people watching?
Oh, thank you so much. Like, I fucking love you guys so much. I really do mean that. Nothing without followers and likes, supporters, my friends on here. People I've met, pretty fucking cool. Yeah, man. Keep doing your thing. For people that want to follow your work and stay on top of what's going on, would you say Instagram is the best way to kind of stay on top of that? Chill Chondros on IG? Yep. Yeah, cool. Instagram is the only thing I'm on. All right, man. Well, fuck. Good times. Guys, go give him a follow. His link to his Instagram's in the description below, but give it up for the homie Chuck. Chill Chondros. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look, dude, not only does Bill not clap, but this fucking guy doesn't clap either. What do you know? God damn it. I'm sorry for my friend Alex. He's mentioned Bill Stiegel. Bill Stiegel doesn't clap either. So, hey, Chuck, thank you so much. Enjoy your night, man. Keep killing it, and we'll talk soon, man. Have a good one. Yep, see you, Chuck. Y'all take care. Fun, man. Pleasure. Thank you. All right, Alex, we're still live, okay? So just right. I'm aware. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of tonight's episode? Whoever wants to go first, what do you guys think? I thought it was fun, man. I like Chuck. Seems like a really nice guy. Super laid back. What do you think, Alex? Yeah, chill. He's a good dude. Yeah, he like I said, I've talked to him a lot. This past year, he's a really good guy. Just trying to focus on chondros, just getting into this. Has made some mistakes. Needs to slow down a little bit, but he realized that. Damn, Alex fucking went straight to the mistakes. All right. No, but seriously, he even said it, man. Like, slowing down is gonna be the best friend for you in this, because if you don't, you're gonna find out. And sometimes it's hard to realize that you going too fast was the problem, not because bad luck. Like, a lot of times it's you causing the bad luck. And I mean, I know I made my life harder than it should have been, based off just me being impatient. But chondros, man, they make you learn. I mean, I would feel like reptiles in general, even ball pythons, you can't rush this shit. Like you find holes that you can't fill in by working too fast. You just got to slow it down, trust the process, because it goes by quick. It really does. I mean, Marshall can't even count how many years he's been doing this. But here he is, ready to rock and roll every single time now. But I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Alex, what do you have to say to everyone who tapped in, enjoyed tonight's episode, and was happy to see you be a part of it? I appreciate it as always. A lot of people hit me up and reposted on their stories about it, so I always appreciate the support. I got to give a shout out to my girlfriend Anna. She's pretty sure she's still watching. Let's see. Since I'm wearing a shirt, we'll do Sal from Cryptic Chondros. Can you see London, it? South. What there we go. Yeah. Probably should have done it earlier, but there it is. But yeah, amazing. Okay, Amazing Arboreals on IG, right, Alex? Yes, Amazing Arboreals, and Instagram is pretty much. I mean, I'm on Facebook, but barely. So Instagram is the best way to contact me if you need to for something. I mean, we all admit that it's necessary to have Facebook, because there'll be those one-off situations where something's posted on Facebook first before IG. So you kind of need to be on top of shit. You need Facebook, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. Especially all the older head chondro guys are all on Facebook. So if you need to contact them, that's pretty much the only way. Yeah, we'll say, dude, Marshall recently has been IG killing it. He's been heavy on the IG, I'd say, with the last couple of years. I don't know if I was the influence on converting him, but man, you were one of those Facebook graveyard hangouts for a while, right? You would say, before you switched over, Marshall? Yeah, I'm still on Facebook, but I don't use it for snakes anymore. Right. It's touch with people, I'm assuming, right? What's that? It's just mainly to keep in touch with old friends and stuff, I would think. Yeah, and just talk shit.
Marshall, we just had 60 people. What do you have to say to everyone who tapped in and enjoyed tonight's episode, bro?
Thanks for watching. That was fun. Look forward to next week.
Yeah, next week's gonna be dope. I don't want to say who it is, but locked in on a great guest. And Alex, again, thank you so much for stepping in and coming through in the clutch for the homie Bill. But guys, Red Mountain Herps on Instagram. Go give him a follow. Amazing Boreals. But give it up for my two friends, Marshall Mendez and Alex Warren, ladies and gentlemen. All right, hey, have a good night, guys. Thank you so much, Marshall.
See y'all.
All right.
See you guys
Bye.
later. Peace. Great episode, guys. Another amazing All in the Tree Tuesdays in the books. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to Chuck. Shout out to Marshall. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to you guys out there for hanging out with us tonight. I had fun tonight. Great to learn from somebody who is learning continuously as he progresses in the Chondro game. Chondro game is nonstop learning. Marshall will even say himself, he still learns things every year. So what a place to be, the Chondro world. And thanks for hanging out with me again tonight. Like I said, get the likes up. If you have not yet hit the like button for the homie Chuck or the homie Alex or the homie Marshall or for the segment, All Up in the Trees, get the likes up, please. And then hit that subscribe button. If you're like, damn, these reptile podcasts that MJ drops are fire. I don't want to miss any. Well, this is what you do. You hit the subscribe button. You hit the notification bell, select all, and you'll be notified for every single podcast I drop here. 3 podcasts a week. I do not miss. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. All right. So thank you for all the love and support. If you are looking for exclusive content, you want to get more behind the scenes, you want to get closer to what I have going on, then go down to the very first link in the description, click on it, join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get connected to over 185 trappers. Okay. In the Discord, IG group chats popping. Just come have fun with us. Come grow, come network, come meet some amazing people who are all about the well-being by these reptiles. Some of the best in the game. Come hang out. But guys, have a good night. Thank you so much. Big things popping. Oh man, I could use a day off because Thursday night, oh my God, Thursday night is going to be something you do not want to miss. I told you guys, December, I do not play around. December amateur hour is not a thing. This is full-blown fucking gas pedal to the metal. Nick Mutton, round 2 with some friends, okay? Ryan Young coming back. He's no stranger to trap, but he's coming back with a good buddy of his that he's known for years, Nick Mutton, and co-hosting with me Thursday night is the one and only Patrick Holmes, all right? This is going to be amazing. This is going to be an episode that is going to be jam-packed full of knowledge, okay? And we're going to cover so many different things, so many different reptiles, all right? Venomous, just to give you like a little bit of inside of a topic I want to bring up with these guys, but we're going to talk about herping, all sorts of cool stuff. It's going down, again, Thursday, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Set your reminder. Coolest reptile podcast in the world. That's a fact. Thank you so much for tapping in. It's a wrap for episode 424. I'll see you here Thursday, and I'm out. Cheers.